If you're interested in pursuing an engineering degree, there's a high chance that you're asking yourself these sort of questions. How long will it take? And how hard is this degree? And so in this video, I will try to answer these questions in 3 parts. So first, how long it would take for you to get that engineering degree, how your first 2 years may look like, and how your last 2 years may look like. So let's get into the video. The amount of time that it takes to get an undergraduate degree in engineering is advertised as 4 years, but it is not unusual to see people do 4.5 to 5 years. I did 4.5 years, and there were a lot of people in the same boat as me. And typically, one of the main reasons that this happens is because engineering is hard. Engineering is one of the most challenging fields out there. It comes bundled with a lot of assignments, a lot of projects, a lot of project reports, a lot of lab time, exam, pop-up quizzes, and everything around it. And so it can be really challenging to a first-year student who has not had any real exposure to college-level courses. So with everything going on within the program and around the program, it can get very overwhelming to students where they will have to retake the course if they do not do well in those courses. And if they're supposed to take a course, it may add another semester or another year to their program because not every single class is offered every year, and it all depends on the university. And so it is not unusual to see students being in the program for more than 4 years. So on to part 2, how do the first 2 years of your engineering program typically looks like. So in your first 2 years, you're taking general educational courses. So you're applying math, your sciences, your fine art courses, and you gradually get exposed to core engineering disciplines. So for engineers, you are bombarded with a lot of math, physics, chemistry, depending on your discipline. And it's at this point that some people start to switch their major. They start to go into either different disciplines from what they thought they would go into, or they entirely get out of engineering. So I call this time the weeding out process because it's a lot to take in. You're being hit with a lot of theory, a lot of calculations. It's like they're asking you, do you really want to be an engineer? So it's quite a challenging time for students. You're really much into the books, into the calculations, the theory, and all of that. If you do survive this time, you get into year 3, when for me, I think it starts to get interesting while being an engineering student. Alright, so on to part 3 of this video. How do your last quote-unquote 2 years of the program look like? So year 3, you start to get your feet wet. You start to turn the numbers that you have learned, the theory that you've learned, into actual designs. You start to learn the design process. You start to really hone in into different disciplines in that major. So for example, in civil engineering, there are a lot of disciplines. There's water, there's transportation, there's geotechnical. And so you start to take classes in those disciplines, and you start to see how everything that you've learned in year 1 and year 2 applies to those different disciplines. You also start to get heavily involved in group projects. One thing, especially in civil engineering, our lives is all about projects, and so getting that experience is very important while in college. You start to really get exposed into the different disciplines, and you start to see what discipline you may want to get into. As you get into year 4, you keep handpicking the classes that you want to take that will tailor what specific specialty that you may go into. And so say for example, you want to be a water engineer. Year 3, year 4, you're picking water-related classes, and that will start to really teach you the things that you need to know before you get into the workforce. And the good thing that I like about civil engineering is if you do not know what specialty you want to go into, maybe you're confused, by the time you're a senior, by the time you graduate, that is totally fine. As long as you know that there's something in civil engineering you want to pursue, but you cannot commit to a specific field. That is totally fine. I have met people who have bounced around quite a bit, and the good thing about civil is a lot of the skills are transferable. So no pressure, because things happen down the line. So this has been a really broad overview of what students can expect when going for a bachelor's degree in engineering. If you have any questions of anything that I spoke about in this video, please feel free to mention those in the comments, and I will see you next time. So if you're interested in pursuing a civil, if you're interested in pursuing engineering, these things I know on purpose, yeah. There is a high chance that you're asking yourself this type of an undergraduate degree in engineering. Oh yeah, it is. That's right. Why did I stop? Headache, sleepless nights, and it is very likely that what very it's like I'm speaking a different language.